So
Yeah, we can start already. And go right in the first item, right? CIP 59, which was proposed by Jared. I think after a chat on a different CIP or different debates around like Vasil versus Babbage and what do names means exactly in Cardano. Like a lot of people seems to have gotten confused by the names being employed. So he wrote a small like informational CIP, so there is not really much to debate in a way. Except maybe if people disagree with the semantic given to that and we want to change it. But since there is a track history already, it gives just explains where the name comes from, what they are, and the rationale behind those, why they were picked like that. Like between era and a phase and a network and a protocol. And he has also put up a nice table which summarizes all of that, which is nice. So it gives just a bit more clarity around naming. And yeah, so I pointed to him last time a few things to do regarding the proposal, just like editorial stuff, putting a number, putting the README and in the correct folder. He did all of that, and he already marked it as active, as I suggested. Just because, as I said, it's an informational CIP explaining the terminology picked by the core team. It's from the core team itself, and it's also recording or explaining things from the past 6 eras also. So yeah, there is not much to. Yeah, there is no point going through like propose and then active and then whatever. I mean, unless people disagree with that. Okay. Sebastian, any opinion maybe? If you're here.
I joined partway through the conversation, so I'm missing the beginning.
Yeah, okay, sorry. We are talking about CIP 59, the terminology surrounding core features, which was proposed by Jared some time ago to clarify a bit of the terminology around the core features. And I was saying this one could probably just go as active right away because it's just explaining what's in there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. I read through it and everything, and it made sense to me. So I don't mind both merging and marking as active right away.
We have a question. Oh no, sorry, that's some other stuff. So yeah, okay, let's do that. I think we have reviewed it. I would just add my review now that all the editorial changes have been made. Happy to approve, happy to merge. Okay, next one, Unchained token metadata standard, which has been idle for a while. We had a few questions. A lot of people were debating stuff, in particular the security of that. I think Michael Peyton Jones is usually against anything that is put on chain and that is based on minting transactions, because indeed it has security issues or implications if we start heavily relying on people providing the metadata being the same as people minting the tokens, which has been generally the case in Cardano, but is not a given. So I think he has a fair point, but the proposal has been idle ever since, I think. Hasn't really moved. We are waiting for the author to come back to it. But yeah, I'm not sure if there is much to say on this one. Yeah, no remark, no question. So I guess we can just
Yeah,
leave it there.
I have something on this topic,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna have to address it in maybe like a minute. If you just give me a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, depending on what you say, we'll see what to do with that one. Maybe it can also be picked up by someone else for a different standard, or maybe reformulate the idea in a slightly different way. Yeah. And I don't think I mean, I don't know if there is any prior work also on that. I bet there is. So people putting all kind of metadata on chain. That has been the case for NFT. But I don't know if it has been the case for tokens themselves, or fungible tokens. Or at least I don't recall any project doing that.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. Sorry, I had to step on an elevator briefly. Yeah, so I mean, the problem with the CIP is, just the metadata portion of it, and Michael Jones is correct that there is no particularly good solution to this. And yeah, my understanding is that there's a lot of discussion, and we're waiting on for the author. I was wondering if maybe we pick this up as part of like the log standard that I talked to you about over DM. So basically, to fill everybody in on this, basically, in Plutus you can log, messages with like a trace command. Currently, this is ignored by everybody, but you indexers that basically rerun the Plutus code, figure out what the log statements were for the execution, and then make these available to indexers to do stuff on. So, if we standardize this kind of logging format with a topic, we could do that. Minting transactions can basically log out the metadata only once in the transaction, and then get some agreed upon standardized topic for this. And then indexers would just need to, when looking for decimal places, whatever contracts, they would just look for whatever minting transaction includes the log statement that provides this information. Thoughts?
But you would also not be solving the problem that Michael was pointing out, right? Which is that it's not necessarily the same person that is providing the metadata than the one doing the minting. It just changes how you specify the metadata. So instead of having them as plain metadata, which is not verifiable in a way, you just have them as script logs. And I think I also agree with Las, and that's what I was telling to you in private. It sounds to me like it would be very inefficient if every indexer have to run all the scripts in order to extract the metadata. Although that could be worked out, I guess, if we have a special maybe piece of metadata that identifies such transactions, so that like I don't know, a certain label, if present, you have to execute the script and extract the logs from it. So perhaps we can just bring it as a different CIP.
Yeah, but I think it does tackle the issue because it makes the person writing the contract the same person that defines the token metadata, because it's no longer going to be in the transaction metadata field. So it couples the two together. That's what you wanted to solve the issue, right?
So you mean that it's captured in the policy itself? And
yeah,
therefore,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you could make the argument then.
I think this would solve this issue. So I feel like we could revisit this if we just come up with the solution for the logging problem, which requires us to come up with a SIP for how to handle topics for log statements, which Plutus doesn't have right now, and then another SIP for how we want Cardano node to change to make this efficient in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the logging, we have it at this stage, but you only have it, I think, if the script is failing. So if the script is happily successful, I'm not sure you can get any trace really out of it. But yeah, I guess the first good step is a CIP, which might requires another CIP, which would be a new Bluetooth built-in for doing this kind of topic-centric logging.
Yeah, which I think is the right solution because we could try and like matching a topic into the existing logging scheme, but it would be ugly. So probably it's better just come up with a new built-in, come up with a solution to make this efficiently, and then we need some Haskell developer to volunteer to implement this, which is obviously the hardest part.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get a lot of pushback though on the logging idea, because right as I was saying, Bluetooth is just one big expression right now. There is no statement or really sort of procedural kind of execution. So when do you put a statement and where do you evaluate the statement? It's kind of up to the interpreter at this stage, even though everything is strict and it's pretty much, well, intuitive. That's probably get in the way of compiler optimizations and stuff like that. If you start requiring stuff to be done in sequence and to be able to rely on that as a contract writer, that might be tricky. Perhaps actually Lass also has some inputs on that, because from working with Plutarch and all that stuff, that's maybe something you also thought of. I'm not sure if you want to.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean to hijack the CIP. You mean to discuss this, but definitely, let's see if you have some thoughts on this, or if you want to take this offline after this call and discuss this. I'd be really interested because this is something that we want for a few different projects on our side, and I'm sure this would unlock some other stuff for other use cases like this token metadata on-chain registry.
So sorry, I'm just writing on the chat. So yeah, let's just make a CAP or offline discussion out of it for now and see. But yeah, I think my sentiment is that you will probably get some pushback from the Bluetooth core team, because you're going to
Yeah, we get pushback on every feature, so it's just part.
Yeah, it's part of the game, I guess. If you can argue it well enough, maybe. But yeah. Okay, so for this particular one, which was CIP 38, I think we can just park it for now on the side, meaning that we're still waiting for the author, and if the author is not willing to move it forward, we won't be doing it for him, basically. So yeah, there has been a few things said already. It's all recorded on the pull request as comments. So yeah, next step are up to the author, not us. Which brings us to the next one, CIP 30, which is, I guess, in a similar situation. I think we've talked about that one several times in the past also. It was initially part of CIP 30. It was then extracted when CIP 30 was merged, because that was still an ongoing discussions and people were not sure whether or not they wanted it. I think there are a few wallets now that supports kind of event in the as part of, not a part of CIP 30, but as part of this wallet extension work. And there is, I think, even a website put by This is Spark, right, with the state of what people support through that extension, right? Some things are labeled as experimental, and I recall there was something related to events in there.
Yeah, so we put the old event that Nami had on the initial release, which is slightly different than what's in the Events API PR, because what's in the Events API PR takes what Nami had originally and kind of adds extra stuff on top of it.
So I'm just trying to find okay, the website here is there, just for linking it in the chat for people who wonder. So this is what I was mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we should have some kind of event scheme. It just, hasn't been a priority for anyone, which is why the CIP kind of stalled. I do think it's important to have it.
Yeah, okay. So I guess when the need will arise again, that CIP will just be either resurrected or superseded by some other CIP. But at this stage, the proposal is pretty dormant and waiting for the author, so also not much to talk about, I guess.
I brought these few PRs. I added these few PRs to the agenda because we have been waiting for the author for several months. So I was wondering what to do in this kind of cases that the authors do not respond.
That's a good point. We could also close the PR after some inactivity. People are still free to come back and ask to reopen them or comment on them, saying, "Hey, I'm here. I have changes," or make a new PR. I think it's not a big deal. But if we do that, I would also first, maybe mark it as a change in our CIP process. So make an update on CIP1. Just say, after X months of inactivity, we'll just close the pull request for, keeping things tidy. That doesn't mean the proposal is rejected or anything. It just means it's inactive and we need to put some order on the repo.
Do you think it's worth it to make that change on CIP1?
Yeah, I mean, just making it in CIP1 to be upfront, saying this is what the process is, and at least people can also disagree with process as we change it, right? It's important, I think, to leave also the conversation open for that. But yeah, I would definitely say after 4 to 6 months of inactivity, which is quite a lot, we just close the pull request, and people are free to come back with a new pull request if they still want to promote or propose their changes.
I think it's good because in that way we have like a process and we don't need to revisit those proposals, and they are not waiting for the author forever.
Yeah, and we avoid having too many pull requests stacking up, which are just waiting for author. Yeah.
Good. I think that might be another one in the same status, so we can just skip if...
Which is the CIP 37, right?
Yeah.
I think, yes. Yes. So I guess we'll just leave it there for now. I will propose the small change to CIP1. And yeah, we can review it next week. I guess fast track it a bit. If people really disagree with that, but I don't think it's any big deal. We'll move forward. So next is last check Cardano smart NFTs. Yes, indeed. I guess same situation here. I mean, the author was a lot more reactive, but yeah, was a few comments last week, and I think the authors still haven't got time to go through them. So we can just keep it for this week and put it again to last check next week.
I also have approached some marketplaces, trying to get their input. So I think it's good, as you mentioned, to wait until the next meeting and see if we get feedback from them.
Okay. Do you think maybe we can mention it on the pull request? Like all the marketplaces you've approached, just to have like a track record on the PR itself?
Yeah. Do you want me to do it myself?
Yeah, I mean, since you know who you've contacted.
Cool. So I'll do that. I will add a comment after the call and mentioning the marketplace that have been approached.
Yeah, and there was also a mention in the newsletter. I think Robert pointed that out on the PR. On IOG's newsletter, there was a mention of 2 CIPs, if I recall correctly. There was this one.
Yes, he added the link in a comment.
Yeah, the link, exactly. CIP 44 and CIP 54 were mentioned, which are both that are touching CIP marketplaces. or NFTs. Yeah, okay. Next one, the pairing support over BLS 381, sorry. Which we discussed with a bit last week. And it was, it was discussed with the Bluetooth team, reviewed, adjusted many times. So, yeah. So maybe the only thing is to see if the status shouldn't be changed to propose, perhaps. I think it has reached a mature enough stage to be proposed now. So I will ask Inigo if he can do that. Yeah, and it has also just renamed the file to readme. So okay, beside a few minor editorial work, this one should be ready to go. So we'll just comment directly. Okay. And I think that is to propose. Okay. Any comment on that one? No? Yes? I think we discussed it extensively last week already. Okay. So CIP 44 is next and is also one we are waiting for NFT marketplaces feedback. Or at least it is the main one.
Yeah, I think that was sent. The message asking for feedback was sent out.
Yeah.
Like a day or two ago, right? So
yeah.
I think we're still waiting.
So there's probably not much to do today on this one. Yeah, as we said last week, the ID looks good overall, but we had the question on whether or not this is useful for NFT marketplaces or endorsed by NFT marketplaces, because it has to in order to become active. So we better include them early on in the feedback loop before merging or going with the proposed CIP. So I guess I can just move to the next and last one on the agenda. Our favorite CIP 50. I haven't got time to go through all the comments since last week. There has been a lot discussed again. There is a new member, I would say, in the discussions now. Rob Bird, who is a mathematician working at Tesla, from what I got, who has got an interest in the CIP. So there has been quite a bunch of conversations between Rob and Michael. Fortunately, on the GitHub this time, on the GitHub issue. We also have created a Discord channel for that one, as we've been discussing last week. So a few more discussions have been going on here as well. And I've also spoken to Kevin Hammond from IOG last Saturday, actually, about trying to again get back the researchers from IOG into the conversation. So Kevin was quite surprised actually that this didn't happen, because, to quote him, usually researchers are quite happy to provide feedback on their work if given the opportunity. So he's going to chase that a bit and see if people can actually get into this study group that we've been trying to bootstrap last time already. And get that moving. So I've put that in his hands so far with the Vasil out of the way now. He has a bit more availability to pursue that on the IOG side. So yeah, finger crossed. And we'll see, I guess, in the next bi-weekly if this has led to anything. I should also probably mention that on the CIP PR itself, so that people are currently discussing are also aware. And then maybe up to the author to see who he wants to include in the conversation from his side as well. So beyond that, I haven't gone through all the comments. We could go through the comments as part of this current bi-weekly as well, since we have a bit of time left. Or we could leave that for another time and try to do, again, a summary of the conversation that have been happening. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, for this one, I feel like, the summaries are nice, but I feel like this one needs more than just a summary.
Of course. And I mean, as I said last time, I think this one can only move forward if at some point we've got the participation of IOC research. Without that, I'd say it's very difficult for that proposal to make concrete steps. And yeah, we have, I think, two, so Christoph and Corlat. I think you are here, both of you, probably for the CIP 50, so maybe you have also stuff you want to discuss or say. Please bring them up. Yeah, so I guess same situation for a bit everyone. So don't really have anything to add, mainly in this call to learn about CIP process in general. Okay. And okay, so both of you. So is there any other items then we could discuss today before we wrap it up? Maybe CIP 58. I don't think we have talked about that one yet. It was proposed and then proposed again in a new format. I think so. It's not from the same author, but it's from the same team, as far as I understood. So it's kind of superseding the previous proposal. So the first proposal was where it is. I've lost it now. Okay, it was PR number 268, and the second proposal was PR 283, which is a new Plutus set of built-ins about doing bitwise operations in Plutus. So manipulations on bytes, which is quite common to do on low-level stuff. It's been missing from Plutus so far. There is very poor support for manipulating byte string in general and doing bitwise operations in Plutus, although it can be quite interesting because of the performance aspect it can also bring in the picture. So it's a bit risky, these kind of things usually. So I haven't gone through the proposal yet, but I hope that it's about introducing a somewhat safe API for doing bitwise operation, and not allow people to shoot themselves in the foot with this kind of stuff. I see it's proposed by the MLabs team, and it has also been discussed with the Plutus team quite extensively, it seems. So this doesn't come out of the blue, basically. So I think it will be good to have it for review next time, so that we got time to go through it, have a few comments, and sort of bring the spotlight to it on the next biweekly.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
And we can maybe do a bit of PR management at the same time and see if we can close the first one. I will just comment on this directly. It's marked as likely deprecated already. Yeah, and Robert actually already commented on that. Okay. Anything else? I see there is a small one maybe. PR number 275. Sorry. Which is just updating line numbers, and this time putting an actual permalink in CIP 8, which I think is good. So initially it was just updating line numbers, I think, but then Robert rightfully asked to just put a permalink in there so that we don't get to update that line number every week. So Sebastian, that's probably something also you would have a minor comment on. I'm not sure if you are still involved with the CSL anymore, or if you're fully switched to the multi-platform library.
Yeah, I haven't touched CSL for a long time. Yeah, for the comment related to REPL, I don't know of a good alternative website that allows you to run WebAssembly in the browser for free. REPL used to be one of the few that did it, but I feel like now that WebAssembly is more common, there might be other platforms that work better.
Because a rep it needs to be like paid by an owner.
Yeah, so it used to be free, and then they changed it to paid, which is why all the links stopped working properly.
Okay. So at the same time, it also feels orthogonal to the current PR. So perhaps that's one good use of an issue. That the replit link doesn't work anymore. Fine, but at least this PR fix is already a dead link, which is good in itself. We'll just comment that actually. Okay. No, it doesn't work. So I will open an issue following that. And where is actually the comment about Replit? Here. CIP 8. So Replit link doesn't work more. Okay, so this one is done. Do we have any small PR like that, or should we just wrap it up for today? Or anything else people want to bring forward? Nope. Oh, sorry, I've got a phone call. Okay, sorry about that. So let's wrap it up, maybe. See. So we went through CIP 59 today, the terminology around core features. We agreed to merge it as active, as it is an informational CIP, bringing clarity on naming and coming from the core team directly. Then we've looked at CIP 38, CIP 30, CIP 37, and CIP. I think that's the only the 3 ones, which are waiting for an author or for an update from their author. We discussed that for those CIPs that have been sort of idle and dormant for a few months, it might be good actually to just close the pull requests and let the author come back with either a new pull request or an update if they do. But before doing that, or in parallel of doing that, also specify that in the CIP1 as a small change in the process so that we are upfront with what's going to happen. And it helps us keep the repository a bit tidy. Then we discussed CIP 54 and 44, which are 2 CIP about, one is smart NFTs and the second one is additional factor of verification for NFT marketplaces. In both cases, we have reached out to the community and to marketplaces in Cardano to get their feedback on it. So we've reached out to the community through the IOG newsletters, and we've reached out directly to the marketplaces to see if we can get any buy-in from them. Discuss CIP 381. This one mostly mature to be now merged as a proposed CIP. There was 2 minor editor changes to be done. First, just renaming a file as readme.md and changing the status to proposed. So we've pinged the author on GitHub. Once done, we can move forward and merge that one. And the path to active will be the implementation in Plutus by the Plutus team and the delivery through in probably another hard fork. I'm not sure if this one requires a hard fork, though. Might not be, but anyway. We discussed then also briefly CIP 50. There has been many comments done between last week and this week. and basically no one really had time to go through them. So we'll discuss it again. In the meantime, we've reached out again to IOG Research, hoping that they will be joining the conversation so that we can move forward that whole conversation with them. Then we briefly touch on CIP 58 that we want to bring to review for the next bi-weekly meeting. It's also another Bluetooth primitive for bitwise manipulation and a bit more of binary manipulations on Bluetooth. And I think a few other minor things like broken links and yeah, small additions. That's about it, unless I forgot something.
I think it's everything. Thank you very much to all the attendants. Next meeting is going to be held in 2 weeks. It's July 19 at 8:30 a.m. UTC. Here in Discord you have the events. This is the next event, and today I am going to upload the following one so you can plan in advance. Thank you very much and see you in the next meeting. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.